This is E.T. Several months ago, E.T. showed how the death of Benny Kid Peret, that was at the hands of Emile Griffith, it was actually the result of Peret's previous beatings by Gene Fulmer and a number of others. This video will show that the Griffith-Peret tragedy was but a repeat of an earlier and equally preventable ring death. Let me introduce you to the following. This is Jackie Davis, a top 10 light and welterweight fighter in the early 1930s. He became later one of the busiest referees in the late 1930s until 1962. This is Sugar Ray Robinson. He needs no introduction. Arguably the best welter and middleweight fighter ever. And this here is Artie Levine. Levine was a very tough welter and middleweight contender who actually knocked out Ray Robinson. Well, he would have, had not the referee resorted to the infamous quintessential long count. That referee who gave Robinson 20 seconds to recover was Jackie Davis. And this is Jimmy Doyle, née Delaney. His mother was Creole from Louisiana. He's part black. A promising welterweight from 1941 to 1947. His last fight will be in Cleveland for the world welterweight title, where he would die ostensibly as a result of Ray Robinson punches. But, as proved to be the case later with Peret, Doyle's death was the result of a previous beating, greedy promoters, and an ineffectual boxing commission. Jimmy Doyle, by all accounts, an up-and-comer. He had 50 victories before he's 22 years of age. Heralded as the West Coast best welterweight, he ran up a string of 23 wins before meeting Artie Levine. Joey Barnum is a pal of Doyle. He was a rising welterweight at the same time Jimmy was. He had this to say about Jimmy Doyle. He was a great defensive fighter. Very quick hands. He was one of the few fighters I ever saw who could knock the other guy's punches out of the air. Well, he encountered, Doyle did, Artie Levine in 1946 in Cleveland. Let's take a look at Levine in more depth. He was not terribly deft, maneuverable. He had explosive power, however, in both hands, especially the left. He had the best trainer ever, Charlie Goldman. Goldman, you may recall, became Rocky Marciano's trainer. Levine served with the Marines during the war, then resumed his boxing career, ran up a string of victories that led to the encounter with Doyle. And when he fought Doyle, Levine had lost only 8 of 52 fights, many of those by questionable decisions. Doyle and Levine fought on March 1, 1946, Cleveland. Doyle pretty much outboxed Artie Levine for 8 rounds. He marked up his face pretty bad. But in the 9th round, Doyle is knocked down 3 times. The result, a concussion. One writer wrote that the referee, who was Jackie Davis, yeah, the same Jackie Davis, should have stopped it after the first knockdown. But the fact is, Davis was busy tallying up points, too busy to judge the fight. Another result of Levine's knockout victory was this. He was horrified by what he had done. I'm quoting Artie Levine. I knocked him out in the 9th, and he nearly died in the ring for me. It destroyed me in boxing. I lost my killer instinct. But the major outcome of the Levine-Doyle fight was this. Now again, I'm going to quote Joey Barnum, his friend. There was a time earlier when Jimmy belonged in the ring with the greatest welterweights in the world, but not after the Levine fight. We have it on record when Doyle woke up at St. Vincent Charity Hospital after being knocked down 3 times by Levine. He would be not diagnosed with a brain concussion. He showed signs of brain damage right away, and one of his eyelids appeared paralyzed. The doctors emphasized no more fighting. Doyle's family reported that he was not the same guy. He used to roughhouse, no longer. He wasn't physically active at all. He would sit reading for hours. Then, after 9 months, Jimmy Doyle announced to his friends he's going back into the ring to prove, as he put it, I wasn't hurt. I'm a man. So after a 9-month layoff, Doyle took on 5 fights against journeymen, pretty much 1 per month, before challenging the great Ray Robinson for the welterweight title in June on the 24th, 1947, again in Cleveland. And again, the referee would be Jackie Davis. The fight against Robinson went as predicted by odds makers. Robinson is undefeated from 1940, when he started, to 1951, except for one questionable decision loss in 1943 to Jake LaMotta. That was a loss that Robinson avenged. Robinson, in the fight with Doyle, would win by knockout in round 8. He won every round, well, maybe except round 6. Doyle was able to stagger Ray Robinson and gave Robinson a cut over his right eye. But it went like this. Doyle, already down 2 times, was about to land a right hook, but Robinson's left was faster. It struck Doyle's skull. Doyle would fall onto his back. His head would hit the canvas and bounce. Doyle struggles to pull himself up by the ropes and stand, but the bell rang as referee Davis sounded 9. Doyle's corner rushes in, demanded that the fight end in case the ref was going to let it go. They threw cold water on Doyle. They tried to revive him with smelling salts. Nothing worked. Robinson, meanwhile, is bowing to the crowd, but he was looking down, very worried, at a comatose Jimmy Doyle, now being attended to by a doctor. Doyle was eventually taken by stretcher from Cleveland's auditorium, again to St. Vincent's Hospital. It's an exact replay of what happened months earlier, when Doyle was knocked out by Levine, except for one difference. Jimmy Doyle never recovered. He died of a cerebral hemorrhage just hours after being knocked out by Ray Robinson. So on June 24, 47, about a year after a damaging loss to Artie Levine, Doyle would be knocked out in the same arena in a fight with another devastating puncher, officiated by the same referee, Jackie Davis, after again 3 knockdowns. Went to the same hospital, only this time he'd die. As you can see, this story has chilling similarities to the third Griffith-Peret bout. So who's to blame for Jimmy Doyle's death? Well, part of it belongs to Jimmy Doyle himself, but the major culprits were, in E.T.'s opinion, the State Boxing Commission, the promoter, but somebody not to blame, Sugar Ray Robinson, who conducted himself according to the rules of Queensberry. Some interesting footnotes to this episode are the following. Ray Robinson was, for a while, considered by the Cleveland District Attorney as possibly criminally liable for manslaughter. This went nowhere. Number 2, Robinson was devastated by Doyle's death. Later in his dressing room, he was asking, is the kid up yet? The punch, it only traveled 6 inches, I think. Number 3, Robinson, according to him and others, had been pre-warned not to fight Doyle. The warning came in a dream. Now, I'm quoting Ray Robinson. I woke up in a cold sweat, yelling for Jimmy to get up, get up, get up. My yelling woke me up, I guess. And the sight of Jimmy lying there on the canvas in the dream seemed so real that I had the jitters when I woke up, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I just laid there tossing around in bed, and I felt lousy the next day. And in the back of my mind, I felt scared every time I thought about the coming fight. Now, he told his team about this. Now, the only question about it is, did he have the dream a day before the fight or 3 days before? But his team brought in a priest to reassure Robinson it's only a dream. But as you know, that dream came true. And it was the first death of a fighter in a world title fight. Unfortunately, it was not the last. Another thing, Robinson knew that Doyle had planned to buy a house for his mother, and Robinson gave all of his own earnings from his next 4 fights to Jimmy Doyle's mother so that she could get that house, which goes to show that Sugar Ray Robinson was great on several levels. And that's it. That's the story. Did you like it? Hit the bell icon. If you have not subscribed, do so. If you have friends who might enjoy these kinds of videos, please share them. The bell icon, tap that. You'll be notified of new uploads. Thank you.